Hello, my name is Tressa Graveley. I teach 4th through 8th grade in a small rural school in Elliston, Montana. Today I want to share with you the power of using Skype in the classroom. Skype is a software application that allows users to make voice and video calls over the internet. Skype in the classroom is a free and easy way for teachers to extend the classroom walls. It allows students and teachers to meet new people, talk to experts, share ideas, and create amazing learning experiences with other teachers, classrooms, and guest speakers from around the world. Out of 650 schools worldwide, my classroom was one of 10 selected by Skype headquarters out of London, England, to participate in their Extreme Communication project with Mark Wood, an explorer from Coventry, United Kingdom. Prior to his Everest expedition, Mark has mainly focused on polar expeditions. I'll play a video of Mark Woods to give you a little background knowledge as to who he is and what he does.
You ready?
2, 3, 1, yeah.
Well, my name's Mark Wood. For the past 8 years I've been involved in polar expeditions. I got into expeditions because, I just wanted to test myself. I wanted to see what was out there. I've been in the military, I've been in fire and rescue, so I've sort of been an adventurer all my life. I've trained people in polar expeditions. I still don't think I've been tested. And, I love giving people experiences, taking people out to these regions and showing what it's really like. But in a selfish way, I want to achieve stuff for myself. I think by doing that anyway, you inspire other people. But my selfish expedition is to try and be the first person to walk to the north and the south geographic poles back to back, back to back. This means a journey to Antarctica, setting off from Hercules Inlet on the west coast of Antarctica and walking 700 miles to the geographic South Pole. From that point, after probably about 50 to 60 days, I'll then be picked up and taken around to Canada, and I'll be flown up to a place called Wardhunt Island, which is basically just a very small hut on an island on the edge of the Arctic Ocean. And from there, literally 2-3 weeks later, I'll set foot, pulling my sledge, 700 miles across broken sea ice to the geographic North Pole. If I manage to achieve this, I will be the first person in history to do this solo, unsupported and unaided. So some people will say, well, the North Pole and the South Pole have been reached before, so what's different about this expedition? Well, the difference is not only the fact that I'm doing it back to back and no one's ever done it before, but the fact that the world has changed. So explorers nowadays are stepping into the unknown. So I don't know what's going to be out there when I head out there. But I always say that, it's not about exploring itself. It's how you explore that makes a difference. And by following me on my journey, you'll not only appreciate what's going on with your own planet, your home, but you'll also be able to experience what I'm experiencing.
Since this video, Mark has done an expedition to test communication from Mount Everest and is currently planning his next expedition in 2014 called the Last Great Polar Expedition. I would like to express how well the Skype worked with Mark Wood when communicating with him from Namche Bazaar, Nepal, halfway across the world. I've done Skype links with schools across the United States and Canada, as well as an author visit from the East Coast of the US, and the connection was just as good. The visual was a little blurry, but I thought the audio was great. On February 7th, 2013, I logged into Skype in the Classroom's webpage. A project caught my eye. The students and I had become fascinated with Mount Everest after following Montana State University's team's ascent of Everest in 2012. The kids were reading Everest the Contest, a novel by Gordon Corman, and I wanted to extend what knowledge we had of Everest to a synchronous, real-life situation. I thought it was a shot in the dark, but I wrote a paragraph on the project's page to express my interest in joining. In the meantime, I researched his webpage, his YouTube and Vimeo channels, his Twitter feed, his Facebook and Skype profile. I was looking for content created to reference to the expeditions he had mentioned in his Skype profile. According to all these accounts, it was apparent that he was a polar explorer from Coventry, United Kingdom. I'd like to show you what the project looked like that Mark posted on Skype in the Classroom's webpage in February of 2013, so you can visualize what I saw. As you can see, this Skype lesson is closed since it has already happened, but this is essentially what the page looked like when I got on and searched for a project to bring into my classroom. Also, if you have a Facebook account, you can find Mark's page called Mark Wood Explorer. I will share a link to this at the end of the presentation. If you like his page, you will get a news feed about how his next expedition plans are progressing, and hopefully you will be chosen as one of his next participating schools. Don't forget to watch for his projects to be posted on Skype in the Classroom's webpage. If you are chosen or contacted, you could share that you learned about Mark Wood from my presentation. A week or so went by, and I figured that the schools for the project had already been selected, and we were not chosen. At this time, I had told the students I had applied for the project, but explained to them it was not a guarantee that we would be selected. One morning when I was checking emails, in my inbox was an email from Fiona McLaren, part of Skype in the Classroom's team, located in Skype headquarters in London, England. She shared that we had been selected as one of the 10 schools to follow Mark during his Everest expedition. I was super excited, but still skeptical, because my luck of being chosen was extremely hard to believe. I kept in contact with her over the next few weeks, and she told me that Mark would soon be in touch with me to set up a test Skype with him prior to his departure to Kathmandu for training. I awaited an email from Mark for quite some time. I began to worry since I hadn't heard from him yet. I decided I better check other places of contact. Sure enough, instead of coming into my email, upon my login to Skype, my Skype software, I was greeted with this message. I was really excited, but also worried because it was 3 days old, which made me think that another school may have been chosen. I would suggest making sure to daily or every other day check your Skype account for messages if you have signed up for a project from Skype in the Classroom. Lesson learned. Check all venues of communication. I quickly sent a message to Mark saying we were excited about being selected and that I could do the test Skype on the 12th of March. The day of the test Skype arrived. The first connection was choppy, so we ended the call and reconnected. The second connection was much better. He gave some background about himself and what this new expedition to Everest was going to look like. I shared the demographics of our school and shared how small of a school we are, explaining how this global communication would really help expand my students' view of the world. Then we discussed a date for the Skype from Nepal, where Mark would be en route, and what time it would occur. Our selected date was April 9th at 7 p.m. my time, 12 hours behind the time Mark would be Skype linking with us. On this day, Mark hoped to be in Namche Bazaar, the last main village before heading to base camp. Mark explained to me that there would be an email being sent that would have all the contact information of the other participating schools, so we may communicate during this process. I believe I received a contact request on Skype from the participating school from the Åland Islands of Finland. I asked her if she had received the school contact information from Mark. She had, so I asked the teacher, Miss Kirkslot, if she could forward me the contact info because I had not received it yet. I wanted to make the most out of this unique and large-scale global communication opportunity. Once I had the email from the Finland teacher, I created a little chart so I could remember which teachers I had contacted and communicated with. In conjunction with the chart, I physically placed sticky notes on our world map so the students and I could visualize which teacher went with which country and school. My first idea was to show my students how global this project really was. I then facilitated the creation and collaboration of a Google map. The students and I drafted a paragraph that would accompany our collaboration invitation, hoping to entice other participating schools to join our Google map in visualizing and understanding the location of each other's schools. I did try to protect our exact location by not dropping our place mark right on our school. I didn't want to just have my students enter the place marks of the participating schools, but rather show them the power of sending invitations to collaborate on a map together. My goal was to hopefully get half the schools to place mark themselves with a small description of their elevation and some demographic information. Surprisingly, we had 90% of the schools reply and place mark. I did in fact get emails and Skype messages from some of the participating schools. Some teachers needed a little extra direction in editing and dropping a place mark. Giving directions to edit and place mark a map was a learning experience for me. I had to think of the clearest way to provide steps to some of the teachers, considering there may be language barriers. I felt that the troubleshooting went very well. I helped teachers in Texas, Nigeria, and the Åland Islands of Finland. This was a great building block to commence communication between our classrooms. The only school that is not shown on the map is a school from Australia. I had little communication with the schools from Australia and Brazil. I did later find out that their schools were mainly high schoolers, so that may have been why those teachers chose not to communicate. An interesting fact my students and I found out was we were the school with the highest elevation. This was my classroom's first attempt at communicating and collaborating with other schools. Another collaboration tool I used to facilitate the communication between the classrooms across the world was Edmodo, which is a social learning platform used by schools. It is often called the Facebook for schools. Of all 10 schools, 6 of the 10 teachers joined our group. These included Texas, Nigeria, the Åland Islands of Finland, Japan, Thailand, and my classroom. We had over 100 students in the collaborative group. It was such a great learning platform. The teachers shared their videos they created of Mark's Skype calls, as well as other published materials documenting their call. I also had great communication with the teacher from the Åland Islands of Finland. Miss Kirkslot was very receptive of collaborating and communicating with my class. Many of her students were Swedish speaking, so we anticipated possible language barriers in our hopes of maximizing classroom collaboration by discussing the use of Google Translate between our classrooms. The students would be able to copy and paste the written text from Edmodo into Google Translate so they would be able to understand each other's conversations. During the communication process with participating schools and preparing for our Numche Bazaar Skype with Mark, familiarizing myself with the world time zones was imperative. I relied on my iPhone and iPad to program Mark's Kathmandu time and other participating schools' times from around the world into my world clock. One thing the students and I noticed was Kathmandu time was not exactly 12 hours ahead of our time, like we thought. It is actually 11 hours and 45 minutes ahead of us. The time differences were kind of confusing. When Skype calling, it is important to understand and research the time zones and differences. Keep in mind of daylight savings and how that will affect your connection with your contact. For me, the easiest way to verify times was to put this information into my iPad and iPhone. As I gained contact information for the participating schools around the globe, I would add them to my world clock. As the date approached, I used my world clock for my iDevices and double-checked it with the school's and Mark's Skype profile time. Later, we found out that the date we set was April 9th, 7 p.m. our time, and it was April 10th, 7 a.m. for Mark. The kids and I found this interesting, and we talked about how it was kind of like stepping into the future in terms of time reference to us. There are several options as to what jobs students can have during the Skype experience. I will have a link to Skype job ideas on my website that I will share at the end of the presentation. It is important to prep the students on how they will complete their jobs, such as working with the equipment and what to do if there are technical difficulties. Some jobs I utilized included a greeter. A greeter has an imperative role in the Skype. They introduce the group and share something about what they may hope to glean from the Skype call. This helps transition the conversation into the purpose of the Skype call. Another job is videographer. The videographer must capture movie clips of live interaction during the Skype. This is really important because it helps during the debriefing and reflecting of the Skype call with your students after the event. Also, if you are later asked to share with colleagues or other students about your experience, you will have content and visuals to share with them. Don't forget to foresee any technical difficulties, such as the battery level of your recording device, memory available for capturing the whole experience. I suggest to have at least 2 students with 2 different devices capturing the event. Photographer. The photographer captures still images of the live interaction with Mark. It is important, again, to work through using this equipment with your students before the day of the Skype. A live blogger. If you have a class blog, this is a great way to capture the main ideas and conversations of the Skype. The students can pretend to be news reporters and document the experience. The question askers. I like to have a few students ask questions that are previously submitted by the class. This helps to actively involve more of the class during the Skype. Question askers can scan the class's back channel for more questions that will help facilitate the conversation and keep communication fluid. If you are not familiar with the back channel, it is a website that allows for a secondary route for the passage of information. It maintains a real-time online conversation that parallels the primary group's activity or live session. I like to use todaysmeet.com. This back channel is very user-friendly. No user accounts are necessary, and no advertisements clutter the page. Using a back channel helps occupy other students who may not have one of the jobs outlined above. Another good idea for capturing and documenting the Skype is to use a screen capture software. I use Snagit to capture the Skype call during a teacher presentation with Mark Wood. There are many screen capture softwares available. Some are quite expensive, but I felt that Snagit was reasonable and affordable. I would like to share with you a video the students and I created to dedicate to Mark the learning opportunities he opened for us. There are some slides that play through quickly. However, our goal for the movie was to share the general idea of global communication, so I apologize if reading all the text is difficult. It was a lot to squeeze into a 3 minutes.
can be the best. You can be the King Kong banging on your chest. You could be the world, you could be the war. You could talk to God, go banging on his door. You can throw your hands up, you can be the clutch. You can move a mountain, you can break rocks. You can be a master, don't wait for luck. Dedicate yourself and you can find yourself. Stay in the Hall of Fame, yeah. And the world's gonna know your name, yeah. 'Cause you burn with the brightest flame, yeah. And the world's gonna know your name, yeah. And you'll be on the walls of the Hall of Fame. Through the distance, you could run the mile. You could walk straight through with a smile. You could be the hero, you could get the gold. Breaking all the records that never could be broke. Do it for your people, do it for your pride. Never gonna know if you never even try. Do it for your country, do it for your name. 'Cause there's gonna be a day when you're standing in the Hall of Fame, yeah. And the world's gonna know your name, yeah. 'Cause you burn with the brightest flame, yeah. And the world's gonna know your name, yeah. And you'll be on the walls of the Hall of Fame. And you'll be on the walls of the Hall of Fame. Be students, be teachers, be politicians, be preachers. Be believers, be leaders, be astronauts, be champions, be truth seekers. Be students, be teachers, be politicians, be preachers. Be believers, be leaders, be astronauts, be champions. Standing in the Hall of Fame, yeah, yeah, yeah. And the world's gonna know your name, yeah, yeah, yeah. 'Cause you burn with the brightest flame, yeah, yeah, yeah. And the world's gonna know your name, yeah, yeah, yeah. And you'll be on the walls of the Hall of Fame. Be the greatest, you can be the best. You can be the King Kong banging on your chest. You could be the world, you could be the war. You could talk to God, go banging on his door. You can throw your hands up, you can be the club. You can move a mountain, you can break rocks. You can be a master, don't wait for luck. Dedicate yourself and you can find yourself. Standing in the Hall of Fame.
Markwood, you are in our Hall of Fame.
I want to take a minute to reflect on something Mark said that I really think we all as teachers should internalize. Mark said, "It's not about exploring itself. It's about how you explore that makes a difference." As teachers, I think this is very applicable. It's not just about teaching itself. It's about how we educate that will make a difference. Step out of the textbooks. Teach students 21st century skills in an authentic way. Give students learning meaning and value. By using Skype, I feel like I've been able to provide a window into what communication means in a real-life situation. Extend the classroom. How can you extend students' learning in an authentic way? Thank you for watching my presentation. I hope you were able to take some information today and see a fit for it with your students. If you have any questions, you can contact me on my Facebook teacher page, Ms. Graveley, or at msgraveley@hotmail.com.